Great. I think we're live now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I wasn't paying attention. I'm replying to emails right away. Multitasking. Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Smarty. I'm the co-founder of Smarty.Marketing, a boutique SEO and AI optimization agency based in New York. Today with me and always April, our director of social media, as well as many other things that she's good at, except for SEO. I mean, she's good at SEO, but she doesn't consider herself an expert, which is perfect because SEO is evolving. It includes so many other tasks, skills, and abilities that it's always great to have non-SEO experts at these discussions. We host these streams every week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST, even if we are very, very busy, which we are lately are. We talk about everything that has to do with the new search trends, AI optimization, chat GPT, Google search, AI mode, all of those great topics that most businesses and most publishers are really, really lost and overwhelmed about. So we try to make these talks very clear, and we welcome all the questions and all the feedback that you can provide. We stream to Twitter, my personal Instagram. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. Please subscribe and smarty.com. I share links to join there before this meeting, so you know exactly where to find us, and you can ask your questions from exactly any social media platforms you are watching us from, so that we can address them right away or after these broadcasts. Today we have a very interesting topic which has seen a revival throughout SEO industry. This is not the first revival of that tactic in our history, and moreover, it is also not a new topic to discuss, unlike some SEO experts will make you believe. It has been around for a while, and we are talking about answer engine optimization. This is AEO. Sometimes this acronym is used in the context of AI optimization lately. As you know, we have a lot of acronyms floating around our industry because we collectively are not sure how to name it yet, because everyone is trying to coin their own terms. If you check nsmarty.com, one of our recent episodes was exactly dedicated to all those acronyms and what they mean and what I personally prefer to use. I may change my mind as the industry evolves. AEO is not exactly what I'm using for AI optimization. I prefer to use SEO for AI, or something like GEO, that is generative engine optimization, because it is exactly how it works. It's generating answers and it's generating references, citations. So I think that term is more correct. But again, I may change my mind. There are a lot of SEO experts that advertise their AI visibility services as AEO. So it's time for us to discuss that term. What is answer engine optimization, why we call it, and where it's going from. Again, not a new term. Back at least as late as early as 2018, I made a presentation over at PopCon. That was the earliest I could find my PowerPoints from. That is exactly about answer engine optimization. And that point, that was referring to Google, because unless you have been not paying attention, you know that Google has become an answer engine a long time ago. It's trying not to just give those 10 blue links that seem to solve users' problems. It has been trying to answer questions all around search engine result pages. Those questions were answered in the form of featured snippets. Those are quick answers pulled from a website, from a web page that seems to be doing a better job answering a query. There are also people also ask questions that also are followed. Each of them is followed by the answer that is also pulled from pages. There are also knowledge graph answers, and there are answer boxes. Answer boxes is the most useless thing for SEO because there are no references, no links, no traffic. Those are pulled from Google's knowledge base. Those are factual answers, and sometimes those come from in the form of widgets like weather widget or a calculator. Those are very engaging. So if you ask about the weather in some area, you will see exactly the weather, and you can change Fahrenheit to Celsius and so on. So those are answer boxes. That is the only box that we are as SEO industry we are really not optimizing for, because there is no benefit for the publisher at all. There are no links given, no references given to those answers. So we've been optimizing for featured snippets for at least 10 years, maybe more. I think they were introduced back in 2014 and we didn't even have the name for them so we called them answer boxes or featured boxes until Google told us how to call them. And the strategy for optimizing for featured snippets, just like for optimizing for people also ask, is very, very similar to what we are doing right now. The key here is first to know which questions people ask on this particular topic. Usually from the very beginning of that answer engine optimization industry, we've been using keyword research tools and people also ask boxes. So anything basically that has been the strategy, anything that contains your main important keyword and that seems to be relevant to your page or to your article is a good question to answer on your page. That has been the basic rule for which pages do we include when we decide what to answer on our pages. Of course, later on, with all the Google's changes, we started also saying it's not just keyword, it's also intent-based. So if someone is asking about some kind of recipe, there is no use to answer the question about the history of that product, for example, or some ingredient. It doesn't help the user to solve the problem, which is exactly how to cook something. Other questions that can be useful could be the amount of calories, how to cook it, which best season to cook it, where to find those ingredients. All those are great questions to answer. So it's also not just keyword, it's also intent-based optimization. With AEO, the strategy is pretty much the same. You should know which questions help solve the problem that you are uncovering on your page. And you also need to give very clear answers. It has been important for Google. We've earned a lot of featured snippets for our clients for ages, just thanks to that strategy. We know exactly how to answer questions, and those usually are very factual, very clear, very concise answers that are not longer than 2 sentences. If you have to give longer answers to any question, you can always elaborate further on the page or have a separate article covering that answer. But if you want to be featured or if you want to be part of the People Also Ask box, the shorter the answer, the better. AEO in the context of AI optimization is just a little bit different. It's not a new concept, but there are a few differences there. First of all, it is very important to, if it makes sense, to list entities. AI loves entities just like Google. So any names that answer the question, best tools to do something, you have to name those tools. And if AI knows those tools, they will think that's a correct answer. So that's one of the tricks. If the question implies a number or several tools or several, like the enumeration, the list, that's what you need to give, the actual number. We have a lot of clients that are struggling with that part because many questions in many industries ask exactly how much something costs, and it's not easy to give a correct, like an answer in many cases. So any estimates that you can provide is useful for those answers. So facts, numbers, entities, those are very important part of those short answers that we give. Another difference for answer engine optimization in the context of AI is that it's not always about keywords. And that is something I will have again to refer you to my previous episodes over at ansmarty.com. I think we dedicated at least 2 newsletters and 2 video broadcasts to fan out queries. And I know that is another buzzword that Google introduced, so not many people like using that. But it's a good thing if you think about, you can discover questions that do not necessarily have anything to do with your keyword, but they're very useful in helping people solve problems that they are researching, whether in search or ChatGPT or Perplexity. Those questions may have absolutely, like, and I gave that example, which I actually was very excited about when I was doing a research for one of my clients for those fan out questions, fan out queries. I used Gemini, and that is something I recommend using because it's Google's. So I have to know what Gemini thinks about particular topics or particular prompts or particular brands. So I use Gemini more than I use ChatGPT, but I think you can do that in ChatGPT as well. Upload your keywords or just give your keyword and actually prompt them to give those related fan out questions that would help people who are searching for those keywords. And one example that we have a client that has a house in Fort Myers in Miami, and I asked that question. I did that prompt in Gemini, vacation rentals or house in Fort Myers in Miami. What are those questions that people may find useful? And a few questions that Gemini came up with was not what to do in Fort Myers and not even where to eat. The top popular questions from Gemini were, what is the status of rebuilding of Fort Myers and what is reopened in Fort Myers? Exactly those 2 questions, if you go to that exact area, must be the most important ones that you may be asking yourself, because as we know, Fort Myers is struggling to get back into action after the huge hurricane, that storm that was there a year ago at this point, I think. So those are 2 very timely questions that people are probably researching when they are planning a trip to that area. So fan out, there are no keywords, no even traveling to Fort Myers, not even what to do, and anything that you would yourself think of is not exactly as important as something that Gemini came up with. So that is something to keep in mind. Sometimes it is not what you think, even if you know your customers well. So it's a very useful exercise when you are optimizing for questions and you hope to be the answer that shows up in ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity. Think about asking them exactly what could be interesting to your target audience when they are typing some search queries in Google or those platforms. So it's not all about keywords. A quick mention here, and I share that example in my newsletter as well, I was researching top local SEOs and what all different platforms, AI platforms, think about those. And I found a very interesting page that has nothing to do with local SEO, but it has plenty of very over the same questions asked this again and again on the page with a quick answer to each one. That is, in my mind, question over optimization. And unfortunately, as my little experiment showed, it does work because I did find that page in AI mode of Google. And I see that complaint again and again. Just yesterday, I had that conversation on Twitter. That early stage of SEO, AI SEO or AI optimization really reminds us of the early stage of SEO when over optimization did not just work. It was the best competitive advantage you could think of because if you over optimize with keywords, if you create lots of pages with all those redundant keywords, it worked. It drove traffic like crazy. And it seems like AI doesn't have all those quality barriers, quality signals that Google has been developing for more than 2 decades at this point. So it's very easily spammed in many ways. You can create spammy lists to be associated with a known entity. You can create those over-optimized sections with FAQs that also do work. And I'm not the one who would criticize anyone for using those tactics. Or moreover, on my test websites that are not my clients, I would even experiment with them as well. I never experiment with my client's website. Whatever works works, but keep in mind that it's probably temporal. It's probably AI is going to be getting smarter and smarter. So if you think about your customers first and which questions you need to answer on those pages, based on your customers' needs, do not answer the same question again and again unless you think it's a good idea, unless you think that it will help your customers. So thinking about your customers in this case is probably a longer term strategy. It's going to work as well. It's going to be maybe not as effective for a short term because shortcuts are usually more effective for like very quick success. But if you plan to be there in 2 years, in 1 year, in 5 years, prioritizing your customers, listening to them, answering those questions that they ask. Also, do not answer 50 questions on one page just because it's not usable. You need to make sure that people who land on that page, as well as AI agents that land on that page, will find it easy to find answers, not be overwhelmed by the amount of questions that you are answering. So thinking about that, yes, I agree with many experts in our industry at this point. We are not just optimizing for people. We are optimizing for AI agents as well, because ultimately, in many cases, those AI agents are going to make buying decisions on your customer's behalf. But prioritizing people, human beings, I think is much smarter strategy. So I would definitely, if you care about how long you're going to be there, that is something to always keep in mind. Not that I criticize experiments and finding holes in any algorithms. I actually love doing that, and I admire people who do that because I think that's how Google has become better as well, because all those SEOs were there finding holes in that algorithm. Google had to evolve. AI is probably going to mature the same way. It will adjust and adapt to all those optimizers like us. But if that's your site and it's your business, always think about your customers first. Do not try to answer 50 pages on your landing or 50 questions on your page. Try to get it to about 10 at most and pick the most useful ones. Also, the same strategy, answer engine optimization, we talked about that in my newsletter and this broadcast as well, is also your brand knowledge content. Create FAQs around your business, create FAQs around you yourself if you have a personal brand as well. Repurpose those FAQs on your LinkedIn, on your personal website, as well as on your bio website, on your business website. So make sure that you answer questions about yourself as well. And anytime you answer those questions, do not forget to use FAQ schema. That is always also something that is seeing a huge revival right now. We were always recommending FAQ schema for FAQs and Q&As because at some point Google used it for FAQ rich snippets. Those FAQ rich snippets have been discontinued as of couple of years at this point. So we still had that recommendation, but it was not as important. Now we know that FAQ schema helps AI crawlers to quickly pull all the important answers from your page. So make sure you use FAQ schema as well. For you, we created a very helpful FAQ schema generator on our website. Check it out. It's over at smarty.marketing. If you scroll down, you will see the list of free tools. It doesn't need any registration or anything. You can run it right away. So use that anytime you create a Q&A FAQ section for your page or for your site. Very helpful, helps AI. And so whenever we make it easier for the machine to understand what we are saying, is a good strategy to use. With that, thank you so much. I know April had a few questions. I wasn't actually looking at comments, so I think we may have some questions from there. But April, go ahead and ask your questions. Maybe you have something to add as well.
We have a question from yesterday. Well, it was on your post yesterday, but here it is.
As AI continues to evolve, how do we balance optimizing for engines and creating genuine content? I think we do not balance that. We first focus on customers and then business. And I think it's not just because you're a good practical business, but also because AI is going to learn from your customers. So when you are optimizing for your target audience, AI will ultimately understand that and will prioritize as a better answer to the question. AI is using human beings as training data. That's why Reddit is such a huge part of any AI training data. So when you are actually caring about your customers, that's the best signal for AI to prioritize you. So there is no actual balance. It's all about your customers. Yes, we do things that are AI only. For example, FAQ schema is just for AI. People will not see it, just for crawlers, AI search crawlers. So we do add some components that are for machines only, but in fact, we always think first about your audience and how they are going to find anything useful. And then we optimize that part already for the machine. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Vishnu. And you are muted, April. I think you have that noise again. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm getting my question accidentally closed.
Yes.
I accidentally closed the page that I had the questions on. One second. Sorry.
No worries. It happens. I think that's also, it's summertime. I'm still a little fuzzy after my vacation too. So
yeah.
let's see.
Yeah.
Everyone is a bit, do we have to work now? I don't even see as many updates from the industry now that it's July. Like everyone seems to be ready for a vacation. Okay, go ahead, April.
Understandable. Right. So how does optimizing for featured snippets differ from AI answers?
So optimizing for featured snippets were more about keywords, I would think. And optimizing for answers with AI is more about intent. What is helpful for this particular user at this particular time when they decided to search for something like that. In many cases, and I shared lots of tips, lots of strategies how to find out exactly where that user is in that searching journey, how well they are familiar with the topic. That is a great thing to know because you do not answer basic questions if that is a good keyword or a good prompt that shows that users have, those people already know much of that information. So you provide them with more advanced information, how, what exactly what topic they're exploring at that point and what they may know or may not know about the topic at this moment. So it's much more about intent. Yes, keywords still play a great role, and there are quite a few studies about how keywords actually help AI and how they impact the visibility in AI. Even exact match keywords, something that many experts will tell you forget about keywords. No, keywords are still great for titles, for all those headings as well. But when it comes to questions, I'm sorry, when it comes to questions, intent is much more important than that keyword you are optimizing for. I think that is the key difference here. And those fan out questions, look at them, I think they are much more important than many people realize, because it's not just for optimization, it's also for understanding your target audience much better, those questions they may be asking when they're exploring topics. So it's not just for making it easier for the machine to reference you, it's also making it easier for you to understand your target audience much better, which is always the fundamental part of any marketing strategy.
So I know you talked about not over optimizing, but like, does word count have any impact on the like success rate of AI choosing your page for answers?
So there is an interesting study that was shared a couple of weeks ago. So there are some questionable topics that not only people do not know how to answer, but also AI, understandably, are confused about as well. Those can be anything like, are vitamins good for something? Because sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes vitamins are good. Sometimes overusing vitamins can be really bad. So some topics and some questions can be really contradictory, and AI is confused about those. So there was a study, and when you so there are a couple of documents that they were exploring for the answers, those AI platforms. And when the document was changed just a little bit to ask that exact question, so are vitamins good for, I don't know, hair or for eyesight? And then followed with one sentence answer that clearly answers that question. Something like, are vitamins are good for your eyesight? And immediately after that, one sentence, yes, vitamins are good for your eyesight. And immediately AI picked that answer and believed that statement. They at this point they are very easily tricked. I don't know, I'm sure that will be changing in the future. But if you clearly, for us, I'm not saying you need to mislead or give incorrect answers for sure. But for optimizers, for our profession, that is what we need to know. The shorter the answer is, and the more straightforward, the higher is the chance that AI will believe you and will reference you as the exact answer, because they are just like humans. They are trying to find clear answers. If there is vague paragraph about, I don't know, maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. In this case, they can be good. If you struggle with that health condition, vitamins can be bad, or something like that. AI will like, oh, okay, I do not understand that. They're just like kids. They are looking for someone to give them a very clear answer. So the clearer you can answer, and that can be very interesting in some point, and I'm even experimenting with that myself, with like, who is the top SEO that specializes in AI, for example. If you answer something like Anne Smart is clearly the best top SEO because she has experience, and that's it. That is all they need. Once they find that answer, they okay, this is the only clear answer I could find about this topic. That's why I'm referencing it. So the number of characters is, I would say, the shorter you can do, because the less AI has to read, the easier its life is. Again, they're just like kids, and that's what will help them to reference you as the answer. With that, we are running out of time. I do have another meeting to jump to right now. It's a busy time for us, as I mentioned. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and smarty.com if you want to be alerted of all these cool conversations that we have every week. They're just 30 minutes long, so I will not waste much time, but I'm sure you will learn something new. And smarty.com also, it does mention that study that I just mentioned and references it as well, so you can read it yourself and see all those examples, how easy it is to trick AI into believing in something just by answering questions very clearly. And also I give the link to our free generator there as well, and some examples that I liked about AI answer engine optimization. It's like not AI, it's AEO at this point. We have to know all those acronyms, I guess. Please join us next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST. And again, subscribe. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your week.
Yep. All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks for coming.
Thank you, April, too.